Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. So, Market Monday, we are back. Let's talk about the bigger buys and sells that I'm seeing on the marketplace right now. And again, guys, for anyone that's just maybe checking this out for the first time, I usually do it on PlayStation 5 because that is the highest user base. So, the most amount of people are going to find it the most accurate. So, that being said, this week I want to talk, it's a little bit more about preparation. So, while I was gone, they released the international, partnership with the IHF, which means we are getting a Winter National event. So anyone new to NHL Hockey Ultimate Team, Winter National, it's usually one of the biggest events of the year. It happens through Christmas time. It usually highlights, obviously, national players with the World Juniors going on and everything like that. This is very big because prior to this year, I mentioned this in the IHF partnership video. They were using basically NHL rights from the World Cup. So if you look back at all the master sets the last few years, it's all been from the World Cup that happened one time. So that being said, we have a huge influx of international moments, events, and things that they can highlight. And we have to see if we can't make some coins off of that. So this video today, this Market Monday, is going to be a lot about focusing on what's coming next as opposed to what's coming right now. Because honestly, all the master sets, even Jack Eichel and Letang, they're great, but I've mentioned this before, is that they are going to have a cap on them because they're at 92, and we're getting into that kind of like the beginning of the end game. Team of the Year is coming, and I will have a video that will explain what Team of the Year is for anyone that doesn't know, but Team of the Year basically highlights the best cards all year round, and they upgrade just like X Factors do, only they don't have any cost to them. They're the biggest cards of the year, and it kind of starts the end game because they are really the best cards that you can get throughout the season. And with the new month, you're going to start seeing 93 and 94 overall cards in terms of the master sets. So 92 is investing, 350, 400K to get them all the way up to 92. Not really the best thing to go because there isn't a card that's just like, Jack Eichel is close, but his X Factor is so far and away better that I wouldn't really recommend it. So that being said, let's get into all the cards and things that I think you guys should watch for on today's Market Monday. All right, so like I said, we're going to focus a lot on upcoming X Factors because really I think that's the easiest way to make coins right now. If you've been watching my Market Mondays, I mean, I had a few people message me about Mark Scheifele last week before he got that big bump after having those huge games. People made like almost 100K off of him. So I have been pretty good at guessing the X Factors, and really the thought process behind this, guys, is that if you watch the market, I've watched it very closely, obviously for these videos all week long or all year long, but you'll notice that whenever a card gets a big tier upgrade and maybe they get a new speed synergy, something like that, that's when you see the huge jump in cost. So like, for example, I mean, Scheifele was going for about 50,000 coins, and then he shot up to well over 100, and then he'll come back down. Like, this happens for every card whenever there is a new release, okay? So why I think this is important to remember, because now going into Winter National, there are some cards, I mentioned this before, that you can kind of focus on, and there's a good shot that they'll get a master event card. So for example, the European player is a little bit easier. Canada, the US, it's much more difficult because obviously there's just that many more players. I mean, I could see Bergeron, Crosby, Marchand, for example, Fleury even. They could all get international cards, so it's very difficult to kind of be like, hey, that's the one you want to focus on. However, I've mentioned this before, like Kopitar in Slovenia, that would be one that I think might have a big focus. Even Rantanen for Finland, Aho, there's a lot of options for these, or there's not as many options for the European players as there is for the US and Canada. So the cards I want to focus on right now, because buying the expensive ones, and if they don't hit, you kind of wasted your coins, but the ones that I think could hit that are very cheap investments here. GABRIEL Landeskog, I think, has a huge shot at getting an international card. There's a couple reasons for this. He hasn't had a master item this year, and he's going for like 55,000 coins. Now, if you go and look at his card right now, up to 86, he hasn't had that many upgrades this year. That being said, he does have a fly the zone now, so he's got 88 speed. If he gets up to like a 92, he's into the 90s, 6'1". Like there is a huge chance that he could get a gigantic boost, and he's not going to cost 50K if he does get like a 93 overall card. The other thing I want to point out is an EA's tweet about the IHF partnership. Landeskog's literally in it, so I mean, I don't want to just say like that's for sure going to happen, but clearly they're aware that he is a good international player. So just part of me thinks that that could be something to watch for. And like I said, he is probably one of the cheapest X Factors still. With a huge upgrade, could become pretty valuable. So Gabriel Landeskog, the first one, I think if you get it on him early, 50K, like for anyone that has like, you know, you've got 250,000 coins, maybe, and you're not really sure what to do, buy a couple Landeskogs, because no matter what, you haven't seen many X Factors drop below 50. So I think it's just a low risk investment and a good shot that he's going to get an event card come the Winter National event. The other one that I've talked about is Joe Pavelski getting a USA one. Now, it's very difficult because even if he gets one, I don't know how useful he's going to be. However, if he does shoot up like that, again, the investment is so low that I think EA is going to give him, you know, an event card no matter what. Like, I've talked about the charity upgrade cards. So, I mean, you can get him. I mean, it already looks like speculation's kind of sitting in because he's going for like 60K. So, if 50,000 coins for this card, let's just play it out, right? Like, if we go and look at his tier 10, his last tier, he has no speed synergy. Now, if you look at like Kaprizov, for example, he got a third synergy tier and almost positive he is going to get a skating synergy because EA understands that there's really no balance with this card. He doesn't get, you know, he's not able to be used on the wing very well. And at center, he's only 5'11", so it's not like he's going to be an elite centerman in the game. But again, under 50K for Joe Pavelski, again, I think it's safe. I think no matter what, even if he doesn't get a master item, I think he's going to get a high 80s, low 90s USA card for sure. So another one I want to touch on that isn't really like a good price, but it's something I want you guys to pay attention to, especially now that everyone's opening up multiple cards or multiple X Factor choice packs. Maybe you've got the seasonal one a couple times. It's like, you know, maybe this card isn't usable now, but it could be very, very usable. I use Jack Eichel as an example from the last event. But DRAISAITL is still, in my opinion, one of the best centermen that you can get in the game when you upgrade him fully. But something that people have kind of pointed out is that he just hasn't gotten any upgrades. Like, he is having an absolute bonkers season, and he's still only 90 while McDavid's up to 94. So my theory on this, guys, is that he is getting a master set item very soon, obviously for Team Germany. Like, this one is probably the slam dunk. Like, if they are, you know, highlighting every country like they do for the past master set cards or the Winter National event, I'm almost certain Leon Draisaitl is going to get one. And if he gets one, obviously his price isn't going to go up, but because, well, I mean, it might, but it might go from 300 to 500. It might be something like that. Because if he gets something, you know, I don't really know what he needs because he already has his skating synergies, but I think it's just overall increases. Like, if he can get his skating into the 90s, everything else is so good on Draisaitl that I think it makes him a lot, you know, just one of the best that you can get. So if you've been doing the choice sets and, you know, you've got McDavid, you've got, you know, McKinnon maybe, I think one of the ones that you really need to focus on is Draisaitl just coming up because I think that he is going to get a master item for Germany. I'd dare I say guarantee, because, you know, I could be wrong, but I think this one is one of the more absolutes for the upcoming event. All right, now I want to focus on just some of the market trends that I'm seeing here because, so since the last event came out, I was gone, obviously, or the update, so the Jack Eichel master sets and whatnot, the prices for 84s, 85s, and 86s has all changed quite considerably. So I just want to talk about, you know, what you should be doing if you have a stockpile or should you buy up these cards. So obviously, guys, Monday is not a good, it's not a good buyer's time. I've mentioned this before in videos that Monday through Wednesday is, or Sunday through Wednesday, really, is kind of is when you want to sell because there's a lot less cards in the market because there's no packs being opened. And then obviously Wednesday when Rivals and Champs comes out or a new event on Friday, that's when the high, like, you know, everyone rips packs. So that's when there's more cards in the market, floods the market, everyone undercuts each other, and then you get a lot cheaper. So I want to take a look just real quick at 85 specifically. The thing I want to mention is that, you know, the 88s and 89s, they haven't really gotten any focus yet because the event items haven't had a set that requires it. So what I mean by that, let's first take a look. It looks like 85 specifically are going for about 9,500, like even a little bit more than that. In my opinion, guys, I'm selling these right now. I think that come the future event, like the next event, they will be viable. Like 85s obviously will be needed. There'll be a set to trade in 85s. I think that what you could do now is sell these. Like if you sold 3 of these and bought one, you know, 88 overall, because I'll talk about that in a second. Like I think that's the better buy. I think that, you know, you could take advantage of them going for so much because there's just not a lot of 85s up, and there is a set that focuses on them. I think something that hasn't been touched on is that EA is really trying to find a way to find use for every single card available. So like in the 16-bit Heroes event, for example, like the if you go all the way down to the end and you could do the collectibles one, like the 85s were available, right? Like you could actually trade in 85s, 83 still as well, but 85s got one, which is pretty big, right? Like 85s, because that wasn't available in the prior event, in the under 22 event. So 85s just tanked in price. I remember telling everyone that, like, hey, 85s will be available in a set at some point, so you might as well buy them really cheap. Right now they're available, and they've kind of hit like a really high floor in terms of, you know, pricing. So I would sell any of them for 9.5. The other ones that are coming up is 86 overall. They're going for like 20,000. Same situation, guys. Like, I can guarantee you that the next event and future events will have an 86 trade-in set. Will have the same value. So 86 plus right here gives you 3 of the collectibles. I don't know if the Winter National event is going to work like these ones specifically because it's such a big event. I have a feeling that it might just be like a, you know, an older event or have some crazy amount of trade-in, something like that. But regardless, it's probably going to be worth less as the events go on because there's higher overall cards. And then as you go up more, there'll be ones that'll be like, hey, trade in 87, 88. So why is that important? Well, right now, because there isn't, they are going for very cheap. Also, on top of that, if you are looking to try and build your team up, let's say you're free to play, things like that, 88s and even 89s right now are extremely good values because, again, they don't have a set, so the currency isn't like, okay, these 88s have a floor because there's an event tied to it, so there's a value in those collectibles. It's like, okay, these 88s don't really have any value, so it's like going towards the card because they're not better than master items, so people are just like, I don't need 88s, right? So let's take a look at 88s right now. There's one specifically from the 16-bit event that is somewhat of value. So right now, if you go to like 35,000 right now for an 88 overall card, like there is quite a few that you can go out and grab that I think are worth it. Like I still think this AKIL Thomas is very good for 35,000 coins with Thief on. He's a great centerman, not to mention a former Ice Dog. Love that. But yeah, I just think that like, that's a good buy. Because if you've got, you know, let's say 100K and you bought 3 of these 88s, I think that EA is going to have a set. The next one, the next event, will have one be like trade in 88s and you get, you know, an exponential amount of collectibles. I just think that messing around in the lower ones, I think they've kind of hit like their max, and I don't think buying them is going to be very valuable. I think you would sell the lower ones, so I'm talking 85, 86 overalls, but then the 87, 88, and 89s, I'm looking to buy, especially the 88 and 89s, because 87s are going for 27,000 coins right now. 88's only going for 33 roughly, so just not a very big jump, and I think you're going to see it shortly. Same thing with 89s, they're going for like 40K. And I think that if you have a lot of coins, that's where you want to, you know, put your focus. I think that that's really where you're going to make a lot of your coins back. This Andy BATHGATE, for example, though, guys, if you're free to play and looking for a centerman, this is a great one. He's got 2 skating synergies that'll help you out and fly the zone. When you get them on there, 89 overall isn't phenomenal, but the combination of having a card that gives you both is valuable because there isn't a lot of usable ones that have both of these. His shots in the low 90s, I talked about this in the event. I just think that this could be a decent card for anyone that's free to play. And, you know, again, he's not going for very much because 89s don't have a requirement yet. So keep your lookout for this one. Again, 40K is very good for this card, in my opinion. All right, guys. So, yeah, this event is kind of coming to an end. And with all the hype for International, it just has kind of really messed with the market to kind of not really, it doesn't really have some serious buys and sells. So this is more of just a pay attention to Market Monday. But let me know of any of the buys that you find. I'd love hearing from you guys. Let me know in the comments section. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.